Good time zone, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Iodine. I'm your host, Benny. And today, we are doing some more editing. Editing the heck out of Devour. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Glad to see you back, Kaiju. Hey there, Batman. I don't know what those have in common. Yeah, you're still having troubles, getting connected to Twitch, huh? I'm sorry to hear that, bud. Have you tried looking up, just something simple as, OBS black screen when streaming? Devour RD Trace. Outputs. Text to image. Riz. PNG info. Sure, tell me some useless info. Coca-Cola was originally green. The Hawaiian alphabet has 12 letters. The chances of an American living within 50 miles of where they grew up is 201 in 2. Percentage of Africa that is wilderness is 28. Is that right? Only 28% of Africa is wilderness? The percentage of North America that is wilderness is 38. Now, how are those determined? Hey there, Y. Welcome. How are you doing today? Glad to see you in. Alright, let me do some stuff. Okay, let me post some stuff. Got your phone taken off you in class earlier. Won't get it back till January 8th. Dang, Poyo. Like, most students here would flip an absolute S if they didn't get their phone back at least by the end of the day. How'd your exams go, Poyo? I was on last night. I was hoping to see you pop in so I could wish you some good luck. Science fiction. And I'm gonna add to that, I'm gonna say, join me on youtube.com/BennyKill709. Post. Ah, dang it. I didn't mean to post it, actually. Hashtag science fiction, hashtag writing, hashtag streaming, YouTube. And then join the fun at youtube.com/BennyKill709. Alright, let's look at these, Barbie and Ken broke up in 2004, but got back together in 2011. Nice. WWE 2K24 came out in 2023. Well, yeah, that's typically the thing. Whenever they have, like, games or whatevers that have a year on it, it usually comes out the year before it actually it's, you know, like, they do the same thing with vehicles, too. They'll, like, already start advertising the brand new 2025 Chevrolet Silverado. Now with 100 torques and 50,000 paid miles warranty or something, you know? Finland has the most heavy metal bands per capita. I could believe it. Mount Everest was possibly shrunk by an earthquake. Okay. Papa John Paul II was made an honorary Harlem Globetrotter. Okay. On average, 100 people choked to death on ballpoint pens each year. Okay. There's a city named Rome on every continent except Antarctica. On every continent so far. Quebec City is the only walled city in North America, north of Mexico. The only walled city? Is that true? Frank Sinatra was offered the starring role in Die Hard when he was in his 70s. Are you making these up? New Jersey. Alright, there's entirely too many of those for me to read. Story time. Science we got kind of free. We had a few pages to do over 80 minutes. I got done with it like 5 minutes. And the boys were blasting music at the back and being loud. Did the sub put them in trouble? And being loud, did the sub put them in trouble? But I got in trouble for doodling on my phone with wired earbuds. They weren't connected to my phone. My phone doesn't even have a headphone jack to help me concentrate without their music. Okay, number 30. Dragonflies have 6 legs but can't walk. Neat. Dragonflies are the first creatures on Earth to have learned how to fly. They're the first First creatures to evolve flight. Sustained flight, I must put out there. So I got my phone taken off me for doodling on it when I had done all the work and got caught up, so I was drawing bubbles. And don't call your teacher a bitch, man. That's not cool. Ripped your bubbles comic? Wait, I thought you were doing it on your phone. Crocodiles cannot stick out their tongues, but alligators can. Sweet. It's estimated that Americans eat 50 billion hamburgers each year. 50 billion at least. If you get your phone confiscated, you get it back after 5 school days. Huh. Yeah, that wouldn't sit right with me. I would have trouble even being separated with my phone until the end of the day. If I went home and didn't have my phone, I would throw an S fit. Okay.
All right, Din, he said, I'm going to go do some stuff in the city. I'll check in with you before I head back. Darren moved past the group to the door, giving them a courtesy wave. It was nice to meet you all. I hope you get home. Till we meet again. Thank you, Darren. Rosa said, her gratitude mirrored by respectful nods from the rest of the group, and in a moment, Darren was gone. Anyway, Din said, turning back to Lucy, please continue. We were jumping to another system, and well, that's it. We arrived here in orbit. We didn't have control of our ship at first, but we were able to land near the oasis. But as soon as we left the ship to get some medical help for Miguel there, some drones came in and killed everybody on the ship. Drones. That's right. Large, flying drones with very high-caliber kinetic weapons. Dinara moved to her desk and picked up a tablet. None of the drones in the city are equipped with lethal weaponry, at least as far as the public is concerned. There were some in the past, but they weren't equipped with high-caliber weapons. She browsed through the menus until she found a list of all the Veracity drone designs, then handed the tablet to Lucy, who gathered her companions to browse together. There's several images of each design, but were all conveniently grouped. Most included technical diagrams, as well as...
There were several images of each design. But they were all conveniently grouped. There we go.
There were several images of each design, but they were all conveniently grouped. Most included technical diagrams, as well as digital renders and photos of the model from around the city. Unfortunately, none of the designs were particularly close to the ones that Lucy and the others had seen, though they were interested to see the companion model. Whoa, they have human robots, Miguel said as he saw it. Rosa grabbed him and cupped his eyes as Lucy swiped to a nude full body of a female companion model. We do. Or, they do, I guess. Dinara could see the next question on everyone's face. Yes, there are people who order versions with realistic touch and stuff, but most companions are more for the AI to interface with humans for things that might otherwise be very personal, or would seem strange or upsetting coming from a security or maintenance drone, and really only for those who don't have a brainstem interface.
She's just gonna say, instead of the AI, she's gonna say Oracle.
Yes, there are people who order versions with realistic touch and stuff, but most companions are more for Oracle to interface with humans for things that might otherwise be very personal, or would seem strange or upsetting coming from a security or maintenance drone, and really only for those who don't have a brainstem interface. I see. Well, none of these really appear very similar to the drones we saw, right? Lucy received gestures of agreement from the rest of the...
Let's say none of these appear very similar.
I see. Well, none of these appear very similar to the drones we saw, right? Lucy received gestures of agreement.
Remove the period on we do. She's saying we do. Or they do, I guess. The period is a, definitely a signifier of like a pause there in her speech. Janara could see the next question on everyone's face.
I see. Well, none of these appear very similar to the drones we saw, right? Lucy received gestures of agreement from the rest of the group. Except for some of these massive construction drones, the ones we saw were a bit larger than most of these other ones. But it was at a distance and through trees too, so we didn't get a very good look. It sounds like the kind of drones you might have seen would belong to an old Earth military. I imagine this place has never needed a military? Rosa asked, almost rolling her eyes at how utopic this society seemed to grow.
I imagine this place has never needed a military. Rosa asked. Rosa said, almost rolling her eyes at how utopic the society seemed to grow every second.
I imagine this place has never needed a military, Rosa said, almost rolling her eyes at how utopic this society seemed to grow every second. There was a military during the influx, as sometimes the newcomers would, understandably, freak out and try to kill everybody and or themselves. Once the influx was over and no more people were arriving, there wasn't really a need for it anymore. There were some military bots at the time, but they were repurposed into the security bots and refitted with non-lethal munitions. Dinara leaned over and swiped over to the security drone images. The weapons they had before were pretty low caliber. 10 millimeters, if I recall. Yeah, they aren't very close. Actually, I might have some video of it recorded in my BSI before I turned it off. Do you have any idea if we might be able to connect to any of your devices? Lucy said. Val perked up to hear the information. The first step, I think, is to turn your BSIs back on and see if you can't find the network. Is that a good idea? Rosa asked, placing a hand on Lucy's arm. That's my question exactly, Lucy said. There was some talk with the council in Oasis. We're still not sure who killed our people, but whoever it was has the resources for flying combat drones and controlling an OTEC ship remotely, which I didn't think was even physically possible. The only ones on the planet that seem even capable of something like that would be the AI system here in Veracity, or... The benefactors? Din asked. Lucy nodded. I guess, maybe? I mean, I'm no fan of the benefactors, but I've never heard of them doing anything like that. What about, you called it Atlantis 2? Rosa asked. Dinara laughed. Atlantis 2 is just a stupid name I came up with for it. I do think it exists, mind you. I think there's one, if not more than one, lost or hidden settlement out there, but I expect them to be cut off from electronic technology, like some of us purists are. Otherwise, I think we'd know about them. I never imagined them to have anywhere close to that level of tech, but I suppose anything's possible. The fact is that I have no idea, though. Just a crazy theory. Our concern was that whoever it is might be able to detect our wireless signals if we started using our BSIs, Lucy said. That seems like a valid concern, though I have high confidence that you won't have an issue down here. We have an air gap network, and even if you wanted to, you wouldn't be able to connect with Veracity's network through all the plasteel. So, go ahead, flip it on, see if you can find any networks.
Okay, so, BSIs. BSIs are also known as brainstem interfaces. And they're basically surgeries that people get, that's typically done on the back of their necks, that places a device around their spinal column, around their spinal cord, and basically allows them direct access to computer networks. And yeah, that's it. It's basically a computer in their neck. It's your standard cyberpunk stuff. Yeah. So lots of people in the city in Veracity have BSIs. Most people do because it's free. The government will give you a brainstem interface if you agree and want to have one, because the benefits of the technology are incredible. But Lucy, Val, and Rosa are not from this world. They're from another place. And they have BSIs. Actually, I don't think Rosa has a... Rosa does not have a BSI. Neither does Miguel. But Lucy does, and Val does. They have brainstem interfaces from another place that 60 years ago, both of these places used the same technology, but in that amount of time, the technologies have diverged from each other. The benefits of a brainstem interface. You have access to a computer at all times. You can speak to Oracle at all times. It can communicate wirelessly to your BSI and to you. Along with the BSI, it also can project onto your vision, basically a digital interface. So anything you do on a phone or on a computer or whatever, you don't need a phone or computer anymore. You can just do it in your vision and in your head. You can... at first, you need like a stylus or something that basically tracks your fingers while you're, moving cursors around and looking at certain things and, interacting with stuff. But eventually, your brain starts interpreting the signals of what you want to do with the interface, and it starts automatically, interpreting all that stuff. So you don't even need to have a stylus or anything tactile to interact with it. So the benefits are just enormous. You can order food off of the internet to be delivered to you. You can order companions. You can ask a oracle to just bring a companion over here, to bring over a humanoid android, like a human-like android that's controlled by Oracle. You can just have them bring one to you, or more than one, for whatever you need. If you need to do, maintenance, if you need somebody to help you carrying groceries, if you have some other desires, they can fulfill that too. You can go into virtual reality. You can just lay in your bed and just, if you want to have an adventure, you just, go into a thing and do whatever in it. You can sync entirely into a BSI, and there's, plenty of people. I haven't mentioned much of them in here, but there's an entire building filled with thousands of people, maybe even tens of thousands, who just use their BSI. Basically, they don't use their physical body at all anymore, and have basically hooked it up to machines that keep their body alive while they live their lives out within the digital environment of a BSI. So yeah, BSI. Hey there, Leo. What's going on? Welcome. Welcome in. Oh, I'm reading the school because I get my yapping from her. What does the Oracle and the Companion look like? Oracle technically does not have a physical body. Oracle exists entirely on the network, basically on the internet that connects everybody in the city with the BSI. But when they have when they bring a companion, when they want to have a physical, interface with somebody that might not have a BSI and cannot see, usually when Oracle speaks to someone, it'll either just be a voice, or if their image is necessary, it'll be projected into their eyes, so they won't actually need a companion to come out. It's only when they need to interact with the physical world will Oracle present themselves as a companion to somebody. But the companions, they look exactly like humans, but there are a few... Oh, you know what? What if I just showed you what they look like? I have some descriptions of companions that can be made in this. Did I have photorealistic in here? No, it should be source. Oh, because I didn't switch to Pony. Dang it. Okay. I have the companions described in here. Devour, Kit, Val. Oracle. There we go. Let's put the Oracle... right here. Sorry, hold on. I'm just making sure I got everything I needed from the, Okay, I don't need the Tropical Utopia. Expressionless, though. And then go in here, that there, do that. Alright, now here is what the androids, the companions look like. Oh. Well, hold on. I don't have it making the companions every time, but, let me do this so that it's more popular. 5.0. So some of these will be the androids, and I think you'll be able to tell. Said just casual normal. And that badge is gonna give me back my phone within 3 minutes. Ugh. Does the casual reader that randomly opens your book know this? I don't think so. Like, but it's so ingrained into the society that I feel like I try and provide enough information to be able for people to be able to understand through context what a BSI is. But there are points when I kind of talk about like the different aspects of having a BSI and stuff. I should make the first few of the Eagle characters in that. Oh, in the AI? Yeah, I can do some AI stuff of your Eagle characters. I don't know how well it's gonna work with the hybridization between creatures, you know? Okay. Let's go back to word here. Apparently nodding off to break core. I don't know if I've ever heard break core before. Okay, Kaiju. Let me know. Let me know when you're back. The fact that I have no idea, though. Just a crazy theory. Alright.
Our concern was that whoever it is might be able to detect our wireless signals if we started using our BSIs, Lucy said. That seems like a valid concern, though I have high confidence that you won't have an issue down here. We have an air gap network, and even if you wanted to, you wouldn't be able to connect with Veracity's network through all the plasteel. So, go ahead, flip it on, see if you can find any networks.
The only Eagle characters you should make is Bubbles and Ben getting along. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make Bubbles. A whale with legs, and especially in a picture with just a regular human. I mean, I think I can make it if I spent a lot of time working on it. But I don't think it's going to be able to make it in just one generation, at least very well. Who what, Itachi? What about this? Are you just really into the Eagles roster? Gold old Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Man, I love when he does the WTs. I like when he does the W. Is that just his weight? Is that what that means? Is this guy literally 365 units heavy? Oh, he's 6'8". His position is T. Man, when Jordan Mailata does the T position, he really gets them. Have a good night, Batman. Oh. Tight end, okay.
Our concern was that whoever it is might be able to detect our wireless signals if we started using our BSIs, Lucy said. That seems like a valid concern, though I have high confidence that you won't have an issue down here. We have an air-gap network, and even if you wanted to, you wouldn't be able to connect with Veracity's network through all the plasteel. So, go ahead, flip it on, see if you can find any networks. With Dinara's go-ahead, Lucy and Val reached behind their heads. Lucy pressed and held the button on her BSI hub until she saw her digital interface blink into her vision and fill her sight with rapidly scrolling boot data. A soothing tone accompanied the Bell Westbrook Cybernetics logo, then landed at her primary HUD. She opened her network settings and browsed for networks, but, as they had expected, they were not able to find any. Nothing, Lucy said with a subtly demoralized expression. Dinara walked to one of the nearby cluttered counters and pulled out a box from underneath. She sifted through the tangle of cables within the box. You guys got a TC3 input. She looked over to see Lucy and Val shaking their heads. All right, how about a FR 2090? Again, Lucy and Val shook their heads. I've got a JCSS 4.4 input, Lucy said. Val pointed to her and nodded in agreement. What the hell is that? Din asked in annoyed confusion. Lucy and Val both shrugged their shoulders. I think this is going to be a little bit more complicated than just finding a single cable. What do you suggest? Lucy asked. We might be able to have one of you try and find a diagram in your system files, but you'd have to draw it, which can be very tedious or... Dinara looked around the room at all the disassembled devices, then looked back at the group with a knowing look. We can do it the fun way. Din drew a screwdriver from one of her pockets. A shiver ran down Lucy's spine at the suggestion. She wasn't quite ready for the level of intimacy that would be required to have Dinara disassemble and toy around with the BSI attached to her spinal column. In particular, Lucy didn't like how she referred to it as the fun way. I dunno. I think I'd rather do the diagram thing, she said. Oh, come on. Maybe if I buy you a drink first? Maybe, Lucy said with a laugh. For now, do you think you could settle for guiding me to where I can get a device that connects to the internet? Itching to see what Veracity has to offer? Dan raised an eyebrow and laughed at Lucy's discomfort. Don't worry, just head over to the tech lab and ask someone, they'll get something for you. Will you be able to make it work? Val asked, speaking up for the first time in a while. Opening up our BSIs, I mean? If you mean, can I get you connected to the network? I'm not sure that I can really, but taking a closer look at your BSI tech would be the best place to start. I know some people who can help and who would kill to get a look. Kill? Lucy asked. Dinara chuckled. Not literally, no. It's an expression. I don't think it originated here on Veracia. Yeah, I know the expression. Lucy laughed as well. I just wanted to be sure you knew the expression. In any case, Din said to Val, if you'd like me to take a look, I'll gather my tech people to—
Ooh, I don't like that, you know? I think I'm just gonna put out. She'll say, I know some people who would help and who would kill to get a look. Yeah, let's get rid of that.
If you mean, can I get you connected to the network? I'm not sure that I can really, but taking a closer look at your BSI tech would be the best place to start. I know some people who can help and who would kill to get a look. In any case, Din said, if you'd like me to take a look, I'll gather my tech people tomorrow and see if we can get something working for you. Thank you, I appreciate it, Val said. Where can we go to find a place to sleep for the night? There are plenty of rooms available in the living quarters. Just head over and mention my name at the front desk and they'll find something for you. So, what do you think of our situation? Lucy asked. It's definitely the most interesting thing that's happened in about 70 years. Do you have any ideas on what we should do? You probably don't want to hear me say, settle in and stay a while, right? Not exactly. We were kind of hoping to find a way to return home. And where is home? The, Milky Way? I mean, where exactly? Din asked. You said you were trying to jump to Carnita? Karina, it's a constellation. Well, constellations usually have a few different star systems, don't they? Din asked. Yeah, that's true. I guess we didn't really have a specific destination in mind. Our primary concern was leaving Harmonix. So, isn't Veracia as good a place as any? Sure. This place is pretty nice, excepting the drones that killed everyone we knew and stranded us here, and the poisonous environment. I've got some stuff for the second part. I've stockpiled a lot of medication that was sent to me to help combat the spores. I can go ahead and give it to you. As for the first part, I truly am sorry about that, and I'll do everything I can to help you find out who, or what, is responsible for that, but for now, I'm at a complete loss. I think we might need to bring in some more people to help solve this puzzle. How many people? I'm not really sure. Maybe like 4 or 5? I think we should circle back to the concern about who did this, and the possibility that they might still be looking for us. The more people we tell about it, the greater the chances that we could be found. That may be true, but I think that at least leaves the city's AI, Oracle, out as the culprit. As you came into the city, you probably saw maybe like 10, 20 people before you got in a cab. Cab? No, we walked. Lucy said. Din stopped fiddling with an exploded watch and looked at her in disbelief. Yeah, we probably saw, maybe, hundreds of people. Over 1,000. Val said. Dinara blew a frustrated sigh. Fucking Darren, she said, shaking her head. Well, whatever. In that case, then, you've probably been seen by over 2,000 cameras that are directly connected to the network at all times, and that's not even including the cameras on buildings, drones, or ads. The Oracle is probably well aware of you. That's probably true, but are they aware that we are from a ship that just came from the Milky Way? We could reasonably have been from the Oasis from the Oracle's point of view. But why are we trying to remain hidden? Rosa spoke up, eliciting a look from everyone else in the room. They paused to let her explain further. Why not let everyone know about us? About our story? You said that nothing like this has happened in 70 years, right? I think you were talking about the last time people came from the Milky Way, but when was the last time drones came from nowhere and killed 24 people? That's never happened before, Dinara said. Isn't that something that everyone should know about? The possibility that drones will descend from the sky and massacre you and everybody around you. Rosa's arguments made sense. It's a fair point, but it might be pretty out there to someone who lives with drones and androids, and was even raised by them, which includes like 99% of people out there. Even if a lot of them believe you, that's an incredibly frightening thing because, like I just said, there are drones fucking everywhere out there. And what if we do put our names out there, Lucy said. What if everyone does know about us? What if it turns out to actually be the Oracle, or the Benefactors, or some other force we don't know about, and drones do come out of the sky and kill everybody? Okay, now. Dinara raised her hands. That's getting a little too sci-fi for me. All right, Lucy said, putting her hands on her hips. Maybe that's a little extreme. I do actually agree with Rosa, though. If we put our names and our situation out there, maybe we'll attract the right kind of attention. People who can help. People who know a bit more about things that we don't. Fine, you've convinced me, but I want to at least start with a small group of people and build out our support network from there, including people who can help get your story out without panicking people. That sounds good. Any objections? Lucy looked around the room. Val nodded, as did Miguel.
About making anyone panic.
Fine, you've convinced me, but I want to at least start with a small group of people and build out our support network from there, including people who can help get your story out without making anyone panic. That sounds good. Any objections? Lucy looked around the room. Val nodded, as did Miguel. Rosa? Have any questions? Yeah, like a billion, right? Rosa laughed. Well, sure, but how about we go down to the tech lab, grab some tablets, then go find some rooms. We'll freshen up and come back tomorrow to see what's what. Lucy looked at Miguel. Maybe we can even get the kid his own room. Wouldn't that be nice? Miguel didn't care to be talked down to, but the prospect of having his own room was exciting to him. He hadn't had a bedroom to himself for years. As they were moving to leave, Val stepped toward Dinara. The rest of the group paused to hear what she wanted. Excuse me, Val said. Earlier, you suggested that you were willing to take a look at our BSIs now. Is that offer still on the table? Val's question was met with distinct interest from Dinara. Well shit, really? Din asked. Val nodded. Whoa, okay, for sure. Dinara grabbed a few tools from around her office then, almost guiding Val by the hand. She moved to the door and opened it. Well, we're all going to the tech lab, let's go. The tech lab wasn't exactly clean. There were parts of machines, circuit boards, and wires everywhere, and at that time of night, there was only one person there, a maintenance technician, desperately trying to return tools to their designated spots. Lucy stopped to speak with him and was, in fact, able to retrieve a few tablets. Lucy, Rosa, and Miguel then split with Val and Dinara, who went deeper into the lab to find an operating table. Once in their rooms, Lucy, Rosa, and Miguel connected their tablets and began browsing the Humanity Purists' Ethernet. Where they may have been expecting a more repressed version of what might be on the Veracity internet, they were surprised to find much of the Veratian views on sensuality were still pervasive. Lucy wouldn't be distracted. Yet. She was after all the information she could find about the benefactors. Fortunately for her, all the information about the benefactors online was a lot of information. Websites that collected their posts were the most visited websites on the Ethernet, even above porn, if only just. The benefactors had tens of thousands of posts in disciplines ranging from health to robotics to agriculture, psychology, and philosophy. The posts were simultaneously published in over 3,000 languages, primarily in text, with the occasional image or animated diagram. Every single post they made had thousands of comments that were mostly memes, trolls, and people asking the benefactors for things. Sometimes petty trinkets, other times for their dead loved ones to be returned, but most commonly, people were asking, praying even, for a chance to win the beneficiary program. That was another rabbit hole that Lucy went down. Many people talked about it. It was something that everybody wanted, and it wasn't hard to find videos of the lavish gala with full production values, even offering BSI recordings to allow the user to feel as if they were there themselves. Musicians, politicians, sex icons, and influencers of all kinds attended the events. When a winner is drawn, a celebrant party is sent out to retrieve the winner and record the reactions when they are told. Lucy found the ones where the people are woken up from a deep sleep the funniest. Even when the videos started out humiliating for the winner, as the most popular ones were, the winner is always smiling and ecstatic to go to the beneficiary's resort. Descriptions of the resort itself were very rare. In official advertisements, it was always described the same way. Become a beneficiary and taste life without need or want, or join the benefactors and make paradise last forever. Lucy looked for testimonials from winners who returned from the beneficiary's resort. Every winner stated that it was a life-changing experience, and their words were evidenced by a complete shift in their persona after their visit to the resort. Most often, they become seclusive, preferring to spend the majority of their time in BSI recreations of their visit.
Changing. There we go.
It was a wonder to Lucy how much more idyllic a place could be to anyone who lived here. Even the Humanity Purists didn't exactly seem discontented with their life here. And how unsatisfied could a person be when they can go anywhere and do anything with a BSI already? Nonetheless, the secrecy about what happens at the resort only made people want to visit that much more. It was working on Lucy as well. All that was required is the user must have a brainstem interface, freely available to anyone who can pass a self-awareness and competency exam, the pass rate of which was near 100% by age 5. The availability of BSI implants in Veracity was incredible to Lucy. She was still worried about the possibility of being found by whatever force brought them to the planet and tried to kill them, but the fact that it was so ubiquitous likely meant that getting her BSI working, or getting a replacement entirely, might be within the cards for her. The last thing Lucy did before finding sleep was browse some of the more explicit websites on the Ethernet. Morning came in the blink of an eye. Lucy had to commend the environmental engineers for somehow accurately representing daylight through LEDs. When she was up, she first headed to Din's office, but was only able to find a note on her door saying that she would be in after a few more hours. It was the perfect opportunity to explore the atrium, specifically the food vendors, where she met up with the rest of the group as they did the same. Unfortunately, Val and Din didn't make too much progress the night before, beyond removal of the outer plate and some basic imaging. She said that Din had some administrative duties to perform and was told that they are free to go topside, and that their devices would be able to guide them to wherever they wanted to go. They were excited to see what the central dome looked like during the day and had just enough time to visit a proper Veratian art festival just outside the dome. The festival was booming, with thousands of people viewing exhibitions of all kinds. Luckily, they had separated most of the erotic elements into their own sections, so Rosa had the opportunity to explore with Miguel. It was clear to everyone that the art was a rich blend of influences from old Earth cultures, but also had distinctly unique and original styles as well. At some point, Miguel had snuck away from his mother in order to find some of the explicit exhibitions and was pleasantly surprised at what he was able to find. Lucy, however, didn't let the boy leave her sight and made sure that he returned with her when it was time. As Val had promised, they were easily able to find their way back to the Humanity Purists. Lucy and Miguel met up with Val at the office. Rosa, however, was nowhere to be found. Chapter 6. It was yet another bright, shining day in Veracity. It was terrible. The only good thing about days like this was that Kit could wear his badass sunglasses. Of course, he wore the glasses at night too, and indoors. The variable light sensitivity settings in his BSI meant he was able to wear them whenever he wanted. And he did. The bold, flat-top frames lent well to the stoic, disinterested image he wanted to express. He was also a terrible poker player, and when interviewing people about their loved ones that had gone missing, it certainly helped to hide just how alarming he found the situation. Over the past few days, Kit had split his time between interviewing the people who made the reports and trying to track down the people who they reported. The story was always the same. The person who made the report would recant when they received messages from the person reported missing. But when Kit tried to find the missing person, it only led to an interminable list of reasons why they are unable to meet in person. Security protocols, travel delays, relocation, health concerns. And though he hadn't yet conducted a very thorough interrogation of the other people the missing were supposed to be in contact with, he did drop the name to a few random nearby workers, and none of them were recognized. He was starting to plan out a much more thorough investigation into one of the recently missing cases when he was looking through his messages when a title caught his attention. Jump for joy. Jumbo.
He was starting to plan out a much more thorough investigation into one of the recently missing cases when he was looking through his messages. And a title caught his attention. There we go.
He was starting to plan out a much more thorough investigation into one of the recently missing cases when he was looking through his messages and a title caught his attention. Jump for joy. Jumbo Jim joining Jamboree. Yippee, Kit said sarcastically, then ordered a cab to take him to the gym. When he entered the front doors, he was greeted by an employee behind the desk. Welcome back, sir, the young man said. Hey, how's the Jamboree going? The Jamboree? Are you looking for a party or something? I thought so. Kit turned around and went to the drink fountain and began fixing himself a protein shake. You were in here just a couple of weeks ago. You want to join up? The gym kid asked. Half-liter shakes are free if you burn 500 calories. Nah, kid. Just here for the shake and the scenery. Alright, just let me know if you need anything. If there was a second thing that Kit liked about a bright day, it was the outfits that everyone brought out, especially those at the gym, and it also brought them out in numbers. It wasn't quite a jamboree, but there were certainly a lot of people. A couple of men passed him, coming from the showers and swimming wear, headed toward the pool area. They both gave Kit a smile, and Kit gave a smile back. A pool, huh? Maybe I will join up, Kit said to himself. He started to follow, but noticed a flicker on a screen across the room. It had an arrow that began moving through the other screens, and as he followed it, the arrow disappeared at the exit sign, which blinked at him. He shook his head, upset that he couldn't go visit the pool. He turned to walk outside to see where the signs were pointing him. Of course, it was the digital road sign that flickered with scrolling words. Follow the path of truth and enlightenment.
Instead of word pointing, let's just say where the signs pointed him.
Pointed him. Of course, it was the digital road sign that flickered with scrolling words. Follow the path of truth and enlightenment will be yours. Ugh, alright, just don't be that far, please. Kit said out loud to no one. As usual, following the obvious digital signage led him to some dark, usually subterranean passageway with a quite scenic view, and always with no wireless network connection. This time it was an observation room overlooking the expansive Veracity main drainage cistern. An array of gray plasteel pillars as large as skyscrapers plunged into the pitch-black void below. Kit found a place to take a seat and began waiting. And waiting. The problem with this cloak and daggers routine was that Jay was much smarter than he was, so Kit was never sure whether he had actually found the spot, or whether he took a wrong turn somewhere. Though, with an endless void in every direction except the one he came from, he felt it was hard to get lost. Still, he was starting to get worried. Hey! Jay shouted, leaped out from behind a console just...
The problem with this cloak and daggers routine was that Jay was much smarter than he was, so Kit was never sure whether he had actually found the spot. Whether he had found the right spot. Or if he had taken wrong turn somewhere. With an endless void in every direction except the one he came from. Okay, let's try this again.
The problem with this cloak and daggers routine was that Jay was much smarter than he was, so Kit was never sure whether he had found the right spot or if he had taken a wrong turn somewhere. With an endless void in every direction except the one he came from, he felt it was hard to get lost. Still, he was starting to get worried. "Hey," Jay shouted, leaped out from behind a console just as Kit was about to get up and
Jay shouted as she leaped out from behind a console, just as Kit was about to get up and wander the room.
"Hey," Jay shouted as she leaped out from behind a console just as Kit was about to get up and wander around the room. "Shit," he shouted, jumping, then falling against the chairs behind him and onto the ground. Jay started laughing hysterically, pointing at him and everything. As Kit pulled himself up off the ground, he muttered just loud enough for Jay to hear, "Unprofessional bullshit." Come on, can a girl
Unprofessional
have a little fun?
bullshit.
The kind of fun that scares the shit out of me isn't really my kind of fun. Well, I keep offering to have a different kind of fun, but you keep refusing. What do you have for me, Jay? Kit asked, picking up one of the knocked over chairs to sit in. Is it about the missing people? No, but I wanted to check in with you about that too. What have you learned so far? Mostly, just that your list isn't bullshit. Every name I've checked has had the same basic story about moving to a different part of the city, and I haven't found a trace of them that isn't online. But there are traces of them online? Yeah, they often still have a full life online, at least where their close friends and relatives are concerned. When they are concerned, at least. Fabrications? Probably, I haven't done a proper
Let's see. I'm gonna italicize. When they are concerned, at least.
When they are concerned, at least. Fabrications? Probably, I haven't done a proper investigation yet, but I did meet one man who feels confident that's what was happening.
Probably, period.
Probably. I haven't done a proper investigation yet, but I did meet one man who feels confident that's what was happening. I even went to the acolytes to see if they had anything to do with it. And... Bupkis.
Bupkis.
Jay held her chin. Kit could see the disappointment running through her mind. You guys really thought the benefactors were behind this, huh? Kit laughed. Can you rule it out? I think it's still a bit of a reach. So, you think it's Oracle, then? It seems more likely to me, yes. Oracle only does what someone tells it to, right? I'm not a data engineer, but isn't it like an open secret that nobody knows exactly how AI systems work? That's an oversimplification. Jay took a seat to get comfortable, then leaned toward Kit with her hands ready to emphasize her explanation. You see, with a traditional computer, all inputs are given to it by a person providing instructions. With an artificial intelligence, the input can be whatever the computer observes, but it needs to be able to recognize. Jay could see Kit's eyes gloss over, even through the unnecessarily dark sunglasses. You know what? Never mind. I'll send you a link and you can ignore it whenever. On to the other thing. It seems we have some guests. Oh, okay. Kit raised an eyebrow, then looked around,
thanks for
confused.
the follow.
What's that supposed to mean?
Here,
He then
let me
received.
pause this. Thanks for the follow, Kendrick. Kendrick John. I appreciate your follow. Like FrostyTools.com says, feel free to drop some bars in the writing game. It makes me think you do music. Or you write poetry or something. Write lyrics. I think that's pretty cool. Alright, let's seems like we have some guests. Let's go back a little bit.
With an artificial intelligence, the input can be whatever the computer observes, but it needs to be able to recognize. Jay could see Kit's eyes gloss over, even through the unnecessarily dark sunglasses. You know what? Never mind. I'll send you a link and you can ignore it whenever. On to the other thing. It seems we have some guests. Oh, okay. Kit raised an eyebrow, then looked around, confused. What's that supposed to mean? He then received a notification. It was a request for local networking with a user whose name was corrupted. Kit crossed his arms and looked away in a refusal gesture. Man, I'm not gonna do anything. That little worm you gave me last time threatened to do a lot of damage to my reputation. Sorry. I just wanted to see what you had on some of the city councilors. Yeah, well, one of your friends doxed the governor and almost got one of her children killed. She's a capitalist pig. Not her children, Jay. Kit shouted. Jay caught his point and remained silent. Kit continued, anyway, can't you just tell me with, like, regular human words? Fine. Oracle spotted some people coming from Oasis and going into the central spire. Okay, so, aren't there often people coming and going from Oasis? Going, yes. Coming rarely, except for a handful of couriers, but never like this. These people are completely unregistered. Okay, so they were born in Oasis. That's pretty cool. Not really that surprising, though. According to the pictures I was about to send you, these people had BSIs. Jay said. Kit was now interested. Is it? Atlantis too? He asked. Do you think it could actually be? I don't know, maybe? The thing that interests me most is that Oracle is interested. She doesn't seem to like that they're unregistered. You said they went to the Central Spire? Yep, with one of the couriers. Kit knew exactly who to talk to about this. Do you think you could find a place in the dome to meet up later? I've never been inside the dome before, Jay said, but I think I can find something. Kit gestured with thanks, then started walking toward the exit, but turned around to say one last thing. Also, Jumbo Gym again. There's not a lot of places that start with J, alright? Do you even have to do that part? Can't you just find me and guide me from wherever? Well, sure, but I find the theatricality to be pretty fun. Oh, alright, well, you do you, Kit said as he left with a friendly wave. The ride to the Central Spire didn't take long, even considering that they had to exit his vehicle and walk through the decontamination tunnel to make entry into the dome. It had been a while since Kit had been inside the Central Dome. After passing through the Deccan Tunnel, the air had a fresh purity to it that was quite pleasant. He hopped into another vehicle on the other side and arrived at the spire in minutes, where he tried to navigate to the Humanity Purists' atrium. He tried, and failed, several times, in the labyrinth that was the pre-expansion underground. Eventually, he had to ask the guards to guide him there. They led him down to the security checkpoint where he was scanned for weapons, then down to the Humanity Purist guards where he was denied entry until he had someone inside vouch for him. A wireless message wouldn't work where he was in between networks, so he told the guards to send a message to Dinara. They did so with a wired terminal. Kit knew it could take a while, as she didn't have a BSI to receive messages instantaneously with, but she was never too far from a mobile device. Kit took a position leaning against a wall as he waited. Lucky for him, it was only a few minutes before he received the go-ahead from the guards, letting him into the atrium. The thing Kit remembered most, and what he wrote about primarily in his exposé, was the incredible foods the Humanity Purists had in the atrium. It was all grown using hydroponic or cellular agriculture, completely free from interaction with Veracean ecology. The debate was still being waged over whether lab-grown meat is closer to the old Earth stuff than the Veracean-adapted variety, but it was delicious, nonetheless. His path to Din's office had a slight detour through the food vendors to pick up a taste of whatever he could eat while walking. By the time he made it to Din's office, he had accrued 6 bamboo skewers that he dropped off in a bio-waste recycle bin. When he reached Din's door, he was surprised to find it closed. He knocked politely on the door. Faint voices could be heard through the door. As soon as Kit heard them, he navigated to the audio enhancement suite and began applying and tweaking filters in an attempt to clarify the conversation. The conversation ended before he could make sense of it, and a moment later, Din exited the door, closing it behind her. Oh, hey Kit, how are you? She said with a warm smile, if somewhat surprised. She leaned in and gave Kit a hug. What's up, Din? Kit hugged her back. You weren't expecting me? You just buzzed me in. I thought you were here just for some more Synthamari. Don't get me wrong, I'm here for that too, but no, I'm actually here to see you. I thought your door was always open. It is open. Just metaphorically speaking. What did you need? What's going on? You seem kind of busy. I'm always busy, Kit. Din was already starting to get annoyed with his persistence. You know I love meeting new people, why not introduce us? They're none of your concern at this point in time. Come on, haven't I proved that I can keep a secret? Kit lowered his glasses and wiggled his eyebrows. The secret you were keeping was based on a lie. True, but I still kept it, didn't I? Kit, can I buy you off with a couple kilos of freshly frozen Synthamari? Just for a few days or so? Kit pulled at the white hairs on his chin. It was a pretty good bribe. He could probably have gotten her to double it and throw in some Hatch red chili sauce to boot, but his interest in these new people was winning out. So, they from out of town? What? Dinara looked at Kit with a serious expression. Atlantis too, or what? Kit chuckled.
Let's see. Hatch descended. I like putting some real small, you know, references in here. Like, for example, Hatch. Hatch is a place in New Mexico, where I live, that is well known, at least within New Mexico, and by extension, kind of throughout the Southwest, as like the place to get chili. I think it's mostly green chili, but red chili is really just green chili that's ripened more. But so they're really popular IRL for their green chili. And, you know, I think it's cool. Like in The Expanse, there's a character, Bull, who mentions having green chili from Hatch. I thought that was neat. So, nobody has fresh Hatch red chili. They've since started growing new green chili on Veracia. But, you know, it doesn't come from Hatch anymore. So, they call it Hatch Descended chili. Because it's more accurate. Oh, I love this song. Vampire's Dream. That's good.
He could probably have gotten her to double it and throw in some Hatch-descended red chili sauce to boot, but his interest in these new people was winning out. So, they from out of town? What? Dinara looked at Kit with a serious expression. Atlantis too, or what? Kit chuckled. Dinara didn't find it too terribly funny. Where did you hear that? Din asked sharply. Are you kidding? You talk about Atlantis too all the time. No, not that, asshole. How did you know they were from out of town? How did you hear about them at all? My tech people, you know, the ones that actually have BSIs and connect to the actual internet.
That would be pretty good. I would love it if, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find a place to add that in this story. But I like that idea that she tries something and she's like, whoa, this is really different from the stuff that's generally available in wherever. But I imagine the red chili, the Hatch Descended red chili, is pretty much the same because it's hydroponically grown and does not contain it's not hybridized with Veracian plant life, with the Veracian ecology, or it's not adapted to it since it's hydroponically grown.
What? Dinara looked at Kit with a serious expression. Atlantis 2, or what? Kit chuckled. Dinara didn't find it too terribly funny. Where did you hear that? Din asked sharply. Are you kidding? You talk about Atlantis 2 all the time. No, not that, asshole. How did you know they were from out of town? How did you hear about them at all? My tech people, you know, the ones that actually have BSIs and connect to the actual internet, found that Oracle noticed your guests' lack of identities. She tracked them all the way into the spire, caught some images of their BSIs too. Damn, Din said under her breath. She was silent as she thought about what to do. If you're saying they aren't from Atlantis 2, which is an amorphous concept that applies to any lost or hidden settlement out there, and they're clearly not from Oasis, then there's only one place they can be from. I haven't said anything. You didn't have to say anything, Kit said. The facts and images I already have are enough to make a pretty interesting story. Unfortunately, Kit had to lie about the images after refusing to take them from Jay earlier. Weren't you just bragging about keeping a secret? Now you're threatening to release one. Maybe if I knew why it's a secret, I'd have a reason to keep it a secret. Kit and Dinara stared at each other for a few moments before Din blew an exhausted sigh. Fine, you win, Din said. I'll introduce you, but you'd better keep your mouth shut until we all decide it's okay. Yeah, sure thing. Kit's demeanor was already lightening up in anticipation, but Din held out a hand to catch his attention. Seriously, Kit. I need you to promise me that you will not make a story out of this at the first chance you get. Dinara's face was deadly serious. Yeah, Dinara, Kit said, I promise. This information isn't getting out to anyone through me until you give the go-ahead. Kit's face matched Din's tone, and she accepted, but Kit kept her from turning around. He continued, but you also need to understand, I'm not the only one that has those photos and the information from Oracle. It could get out anyway. It might already be out. All right, Din nodded. I understand. Let's go. Inside the room, the only activity was a young boy, pacing nervously around the room. There were two other women, one clad in military-style gear sitting with an angry scowl, and the other with finely braided hair, calmly browsing a bookshelf. The sitting woman respectably stood up as an unintroduced person entered the room. Dinara began to speak after closing the door behind Kit. I'd like to introduce someone. I wasn't exactly expecting him, but this is Kit Iona Castillo. There were two other women, one clad in military-style gear sitting with an angry scowl, and the other with finely braided hair.
Sometimes the AI does that, it jumps back and repeats stuff.
Kit shook Lucy and Val's hands as he was introduced to them. Miguel, however, simply nodded and continued pacing. Kit didn't mind. It was a better greeting than many he'd had before. So, where y'all from? Kit asked bluntly. Before any of them could speak, Dinara cut in. Whoa, before we get to that, I think you should know that Kit here is a journalist. What? Lucy said. I thought you said we were gonna take it slow? Yeah, like I said, I wasn't really expecting him, but he's actually here because he already knows about you. It seems the word is out. Well, hold on, Kit said. I'm not so sure it's exactly out yet. Oracle knows about you, and a source that has access to Oracle's security reporting system also knows, but that's it. For now, at least. But I don't think Oracle, my source, nor I have any actual information on where, exactly, you're from. All right, Lucy said, blowing out an exhausted sigh. This is getting a little tiring, if I'm being honest. She turned toward Val. You want to handle this? We're from the Milky Way galaxy, Val said as she continued browsing the bookshelf. We landed here a few days ago, and the rest of the ship's crew and passengers were killed by drones, and the ship destroyed. We came here to see if we could find another way home. We're not sure if it's Oracle, the benefactors, or someone else that is behind it, and we're not sure if we should reveal our identities. Goddamn. Kit was otherwise speechless. Also, Val said, then pointed toward Miguel. His mother has been missing for a few hours. Missing? Kit said. The expression on Miguel's face was all he needed as an answer. Kit grabbed the graying hairs on his chin. Interesting. Interesting? Lucy was caught off guard by Kit's response. I'm sorry, that was rude. What I mean to say is, that's terrible and I'm going to do everything I can to help you find her. What's interesting about it is that I recently started looking into a string of missing people, none of whom had a BSI. Now, your mother, what is her name? The source that has access to Oracle's security reporting system also knows.
Stop it.
Rosalinda, Miguel said, Rosa. I don't imagine Rosa had a BSI, did she? Kit asked. Miguel shook his head. Val and I have BSIs, Lucy said, but they seem to be incompatible with Veracity's network. I took a look at Val's BSI, Dinara said. I'm having my people fabricate a conversion cable, but I think software may still be an issue. I've got some contacts that may be able to help on that front, though. I'm not really sure that's such a great idea, Kit said. Lucy and Din nodded. There was some concern about getting them connected to Veracity, but we should at least be able to connect them here within the atrium, and in light of Rosa's disappearance, I think it's a good idea to get them connected if not just to track them.
You're banned in 7 US states? Is that true? Arizona, Utah, Ohio, Texas, New Hampshire, Tennessee, New Mexico. Why? How come you're banned? How come, what'd you do?
I think that worry about connecting to Veracity's network is valid, but not having a connection also seems to be a serious problem. I was telling them earlier that they shouldn't be concerned about Oracle, Din said, as she knew they were in Veracity hours before they arrived here, and I think if Oracle wanted them gone, it would have happened much sooner than it did. I don't really claim to know exactly what Oracle wants with them, Kit said, crossing his arms, but the missing people I mentioned, they're anything but missing if you look them up online. They have complete digital likenesses that interact with anyone that might be looking for them, deflecting those people away from looking too closely. You think Oracle is behind it? Lucy asked. Oracle is the only one with the power to be able to do that, as far as I can tell. It's not impossible for a person to impersonate another person online, especially if the people looking don't have BSIs themselves, but to do it for so many different people? I don't think it's possible for any one person, and if it was a group, I think I would have heard about it by now. You said this only seems to happen to people that don't have BSIs? Miguel asked. Does that mean it would be safer to get one? Maybe. It would be much easier for us to track you, like Din said earlier, but Oracle is going to know where you are at every moment of every day. And while the people I've been looking for have all been without BSIs, that's not to say that there aren't any people with BSIs that have gone missing. I just haven't found any evidence of such a case. Do you think there are any out there? Lucy asked. I don't really know. It might help if I could find out why these people are being taken. It could be that taking someone without a BSI is easier, or it could be that replacing someone that does have a BSI with a digital imposter is even easier and could be happening even more often. That's a chilling prospect, Din said. I suppose you guys will just have to stick around here underground for the rest of your lives. Nobody was sure whether Din was joking or not, but they got the distinct impression that she wasn't exactly happy with her own situation. Though, she wasn't stuck underground. She was able to roam around within the dome, and even make short visits outside of it, regardless of her purely human physiology. The prospect of being stuck underground did...
Nobody was sure whether Din was joking or not. They got the distinct impression that she wasn't exactly happy with her own situation. Let's just, period. Nobody was sure whether Din was joking or not. They got the distinct impression that she wasn't exactly happy with her own situation. Though, she wasn't stuck underground. Da, da, da.
Though, she wasn't stuck underground. She was able to roam around within the dome, and even make short visits outside of it, regardless of her purely human physiology. The prospect of being stuck underground did not sit well with anyone, but even further than that, Miguel was getting more frustrated every moment that the adults continued speaking on topics that didn't exactly concern him currently. What are we going to do about my mom? Miguel said with an aggravated tone. The group shied away. While everything they were speaking about was important, they did feel that the conversation was moving away from the most urgent subject. Yes, Kit said, I apologize. I do think the contact I mentioned earlier will be willing to help find her. It will have to be in person, however, and we will have to go above ground to meet them. Are these the same contacts that gave you your dirt on me? Din asked. Kit rolled his eyes. Are you sure you could trust them with this? I understand your point, but I don't imagine we can do a whole lot of searching from down here, Kit said. Dinara couldn't argue with him. However, I do think it is probably safer down here. It's up to you. Would any of you like to come with me? Yes, I'll come, Val said without a moment's hesitation. Me too, Miguel followed. Are you sure? Kit asked, worried about the boy's welfare. The concern in his voice was grating to Miguel. Are you fucking kidding me? He said. His anger was starting to boil over. I've lived in a literal war zone for as long as I can remember, then spent the past 10 days or so hiking, half of it with a broken arm, lost everybody I've ever known, including my own father. And now my mother has disappeared on an alien planet on the other side of the universe. I don't think now's the time to treat me like a helpless fucking child. Kit was astonished. Not because of Miguel's language. That kind of vocabulary was common on Veracia. Instead, it was the story of the child from an actual war zone. There had never been a large-scale conflict on Veracia in its history. Even in the early days of the influx, the fighting over resources was resolved with little combat or bloodshed. Kit also realized why he was so interested in Lucy. Her stance, the equipment she was wearing, her scowl, and her unblinking, constantly scanning eyes exuded the aura of a hardened combat veteran. It was something Kit had never seen before in his life. Of course, Kit said.
She doesn't hate Lucy. They were on the same crew? Not quite. So Lucy was security for a relief ship, like a ship that smuggles passengers, smuggles people out of war zones. So they were on Harmonix, which was in the middle of a war, like a corporate, basically a corporate extermination. And Val was under the cover of one of the refugees trying to get off of the planet. However, so basically, before the start of the story, Val and Lucy had never met before. They weren't exactly on the same crew. She was just a refugee that got onto the ship that Lucy was working on. But it turns out that Val was not actually a refugee. She was actually very much tied in with the corporation that was basically destroying the planet. Basically the bad guys on Harmonix. But she was basically like undercover. She was hiding as one of the refugees is the word I'm looking for.
Nothing that can't wait, Din said. I don't think I have anything that can help find Rosa, but I'll send out some feelers to help expand the search while you are away. You aren't going to come with us? Kit asked. How long has it been since you've seen the sky? You seriously think I'm going to go meet your contact? So, I can be demeaned and laughed at, or worse, by a bunch of technophiles. You call them technophiles? Kit laughed. While you're wearing that iron on your hip? Lucy was confused for a moment. She was pretty adept at spotting weapons, and except for a handful of security personnel, she hadn't seen anybody carrying a firearm. She saw Din roll her eyes, then looked at her hip to see a soldering iron neatly tucked away in a custom-made heat-resistant holster, secured with a snap. Din said nothing as she began to silently fiddle with some of the tech around her office. The group wasted no time in moving to action on Kit's suggestion. After another quick trip past the food stalls in the atrium, the group made their way to the surface. Lucy had the urge to hold Miguel's hand to make sure he doesn't stray too far, but instead decided to keep an eye on him from the rear with her rifle close at hand. Val was also diligent in her attention to him, but Lucy got the sense that it wasn't in the interest of keeping him safe. Val was talking him up most of their trip to meet Kit's contact. Lucy felt awkward talking to him with his mother missing, but Val didn't seem to have any issues, and Miguel didn't seem to mind. She actually seemed to be keeping his spirits up and his mind off of the Dar situation. Kit wasn't quite sure how to get a hold of Jay. Their relationship had always been one-sided contact-wise. All he could think of was to walk to a nearby park and encourage the group to take a seat in an unpopulated pavilion where they were within view of a few cameras. Kit then walked toward one of the cameras and started talking to it. All right, Jay, I'm ready. Send me a sign or whatever, he said. Lucy was visibly confused. She had done some cloak and dagger style communiques in her time, but this was quite different than anything she had done before, especially when they simply sat there doing nothing for 15 minutes. As Lucy watched their surroundings with keen eyes, a flickering ad in the distance caught her attention, the only ad visible from their location. Text began scrolling, to which Lucy brought Kit's attention as it started with his name and plainly provided an address and a floor number. There we go. Let's get moving, Kit said as he entered the address into the GPS in his interface. The walk to the building was only a few minutes away. The building was largely empty, as many of the buildings within the dome were after a majority of the population no longer needed to stay within it. The doors and elevators in these buildings were usually automated.
Okay, that's confusing, I think. The walk to the building was only a few minutes away. building was largely empty, as many of the buildings as were many of the buildings within the dome. Okay, I think that makes a little bit more sense.
The building was largely empty, as were many of the buildings within the dome after a majority of the population no longer needed to stay within it. The doors and elevators in these buildings were usually automated and locked for anyone other than approved maintenance or security personnel, but they all unlocked as they approached and took the elevator to the floor that was mentioned previously. They stepped out of the elevator onto an unfurnished space with large windows that overlooked the city, or at least the part of it that wasn't obscured by the other neighboring towers. Miguel was absolutely fascinated by the view, having never seen anything like it before in his life. Lucy was also delighted with a nice metropolitan cityscape, and this was certainly the cleanest, most beautiful one she had seen. Val enjoyed it as well, but Kit was on his toes the moment he stepped off the elevator, looking around suspiciously. A few minutes went by in which Kit wasn't startled by Jay jumping out to surprise him. In fact, when Jay did finally arrive, she came out of the elevator, apparently flustered and out of breath. Sorry, I usually send you the stuff when I'm already here, but... Jay said, trailing off. Why are you out of breath? Kit asked. Running laps in the elevator? He didn't get an answer. The rest of the group wasn't expecting her appearance. They stood by silently as Kit turned and introduced them. Jay, this is Miguel, Lucy, and Val. He motioned toward them as he spoke. Jay bowed her head politely at each of them. Kit finished off his introduction bluntly. They're from the Milky Way. Lucy was taken aback. She had thought that Kit said he was going to be discreet about their situation and not tell the literal first person he spoke to. Lucy was dreading the girl's reaction. Wicked, Jay said in an interested, if reserved tone. So, what can I do for you? Well, first of all, what's with the uncharacteristically straightforward message? Are you kidding me, Kit? Jay nearly detached the digital display ring from her optic nerve in rolling her eyes so hard. You literally told me a few hours ago that you didn't care for the theatrics. I believe what—
Ooga booga. Okay, let's rewrite this. We're gonna keep it. Jay rolled her eyes hard enough to nearly detach the digital display ring from her optic nerve.
Are you kidding me, Kit? Jay rolled her eyes hard enough to nearly detach the digital display ring from her optic nerve. You literally told me a few hours ago that you didn't care for the theatrics. I believe what I said was you do you, Kit said. Anyway, I was wondering if you might be able to help us with a missing person, Miguel's mother. Oh! Jay shifted instantly to a more somber demeanor. I'm sorry about that. I'll definitely do what I can. What is her name? Rosa, Kit said. Rosa, yes. We've got tons of images and video of her. Of all of you, really. Jay spoke with confidence, and only a moment later realized just how it sounded. Not in a creepy way, though. Everyone in my group's been watching you, and Oracle too. Jay could feel the looks she was being given. Okay, maybe it is a little creepy, but, well, I guess you're just some pretty interesting people. Why don't you tell Jay about the last time you saw her, Kit said, turning toward Miguel. It was at the art festival thing just outside.
Let's redo this one.
Rosa, yes. We've got tons of images and video of her. Of all of you, really. Jay spoke with confidence, and only a moment later realized just how it sounded. Not in a creepy way, though. Everyone in my group's been watching you, and Oracle too. Jay could feel the looks she was being given. Okay, maybe it is a little creepy, but, well, I guess you're just some pretty interesting people. Why don't you tell Jay about the last time you saw her, Kit said, turning toward Miguel. It was at the art festival thing just outside the dome. As Miguel started speaking, Jay started moving toward a hallway and motioned for the rest to follow her. The group was led to a room that had once been an office conference room with an overhead projector that was too expensive to dismantle and move. It was still connected to power and a wireless network router with security that had been cracked
The group was led to what had once been an office conference room.
The group was led to what had once been an office conference room with an overhead projector that was too expensive to dismantle and move. It was still connected to power and a wireless network router with security that had been cracked decades ago. Jay had a little bit of trouble as she had never used an external display with her BSI, but was eventually able to connect and began displaying photos and videos of the group at the art festival.
That was too much work. That was too much work to dismantle and move.
Overhead projector that was too much work to dismantle and move. It was still connected to power and a wireless network router with security that had been cracked decades ago. Jay had a little bit of trouble as she had never used an external display with her BSI, but was eventually able to connect and began displaying photos and videos of the group at the art festival. Some of the video was from security cameras and drones, but most of the footage was from the perspective of the other attendees. This didn't sit well with Miguel. "You can just look through other people's eyes?" he asked. Nobody in the room except for Miguel was surprised by this information. Well, yeah.
You know what? I'm sure that she has used external displays with her BSI. Jay connected to it, began displaying photos and videos of the group in the art festival.
Jay connected to it and began displaying photos and videos of the group at the art festival.
I just said
Some of the video was from security cameras and drones, but most of the footage was from the perspective of the other attendees. This didn't sit well with Miguel. "You can just look through other people's eyes?" he asked. Nobody in the room except for Miguel was surprised by this information. Well, yeah. Jay was trying not to sound demeaning as she explained. "If you've got a BSI and a network connection, that means Oracle could be watching at any time." This was a given to Kit and anyone else that had grown up on Veracia, but even back in the Milky Way, it was much the same expectation. Lucy and Val knew that no matter the level of security software you had, in the age of machine learning decryption programs, no security was ever really good enough to protect you if someone really wanted in. In all of his years being underprivileged and only able to read about the technology online, Miguel had never considered this side of it, but felt a small measure of comfort knowing that there were so many people watching. "All that being said, we don't have footage from every single person with a BSI in the vicinity," Jay said. "We really only have footage in which Oracle was tracking at least one of the four of you." Jay continued to scroll forward, and from video to video where Rosa was within view. At the moment that Miguel noticed himself slip away from Rosa and out of the footage, his gut sank. Suddenly, the tinge of guilt that had lingered since she disappeared was growing to overwhelm him. Miguel had left his mother alone, and only because he went off to view the more risque section of the festival. The feeling grew as he watched the expression on his mother's face change into worry as she started looking around. There was no audio, but he could see that she was saying his name, calling out to him, and was starting to grow more frantic until she wasn't in the footage at all. Videos continued to play, but Rosa didn't seem to be in them, nor anyone else from the group. "What the hell happened?" Miguel asked after a few seconds. "That's, Jay said with confusion in her voice. "This footage is tagged by Oracle as having her in it, but..." Jay paused the footage. There were dozens of people in the still image, and the entire group leaned in to inspect the faces of each person, but were able to non-verbally agree that she wasn't present. Jay continued playing the footage, switching to the next perspective that was supposed to have Rosa in it, and finding nothing again. Eventually, the video stopped, with the last image being from an attendee that was looking generally toward the entrance into a darkened alleyway. "This is the last time that Rosa was tagged. How is that possible? There's dozens of people there." Miguel motioned angrily toward the projected image. "Where the fuck is she?" Jay looked over at Kit with the same uncomfortably knowing look. Kit took his sunglasses off and placed his hands on his hips. "I think I have an idea of what's happening here," he said. "The missing people I've been searching for, well, they all seem to have some online presence that makes their continued existence believable, especially if they are surrounded by people with BSIs. If Oracle is able to add believable people into a person's life, I suppose it's not a big leap to believe that she has the power to remove people as well." "You mean, like editing them out of footage?" Lucy asked. Kit nodded and Lucy turned to Jay. "Are you able to see if this footage has any signs of being doctored?" "I have a guy that can look into that, but that might take a little time," Jay said. "I did notice that Oracle was scanning for more than just Rosa in these videos. She was tracking everybody in the vicinity that had a BSI, or, more specifically, she was looking for anyone else that didn't have one." As she spoke, the projected image changed to the viewpoint of a drone looking down from high above the street. "There's nearly 600 people in this view. A green represents people who have an active BSI, and the red dots are those who don't." The image was awash with green, only a handful of red dots were visible. Jay stepped up to the wall and pointed toward one of the red dots. "This one is apparently Rosa." Everybody leaned in closer to see that Rosa's red was hovering over nothing. Even on this drone, it seemed that she had been removed from the image. Her dot was nowhere near any of the other red ones. All of the dots began bustling as Jay started playing the video from this overhead view. Everyone watched Rosa's dot closely as it moved through the sea of green and into the alleyway they had seen in the previous footage where the dot disappeared. So, she went into the alley? Miguel said. How many ways out of that alley are there? There are a few, but Jay said before switching to a digital rendering of the city. Every building adjacent to the alley also had mech shafts that descended into a massive network of subterranean tunnels that spanned the entire city. If she was taken into any of these buildings, they could have gone into the mech tunnels and then to anywhere in the city. There was a silence as everyone considered what it meant, but Miguel had to say it out loud. So, there's no way we can find her? Again, the silence lingered as nobody wanted to answer.
Just realized my mic was closed. I'm going to go ahead and call it there. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. Check out BennyKill709. Check out patreon.com/BennyKill709 if you'd like to support me for what I do. I would love to quit my job and do this for real. Just full time. That would be cool. I'm going to play some Infinity Nikki later because I love that game. And yeah. I hope you have a great rest of your time zone.